It is 7:03, and we're going to call this meeting to order. Please rise with the pledge of allegiance. It will be led by
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Paulette is sending a message that Google Meet is not letting her in. That's wonderful. Whoever's got the ability to handle that. If it's a quick fix, we'll wait for her.
I'm gonna try sending her a different link then. I sent her 2 separate ones. I was just hoping one of them would work.
I think we can go ahead and move forward on business without Paulette at this point. It looks like it might be a minute. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Hearings of individuals and groups. Mr. Kratzer. Welcome.
That was quick.
I
You
know.
have to, yeah. So I'm Rick Kratzer. I'm here to just thank you guys like I always do. I feel like it's like super important. I've said it 1,000 times, I'll keep doing it. And let's just give them a round of applause like I always say too. You've got to take so much stress and they just keep going and they're doing it as volunteers. And I've just been blowing it. Thank you guys again. I actually spoke up to thank you guys probably about a year ago today because I know I was wearing camo the first time that I actually spoke up at a meeting. And that's why I was there, was to say thank you to you guys for kind of digging your heels in. I just felt compelled to speak up that night. I do remember wearing camo doing that. You guys are like, oh, camo guy. But, no, it really did mean it though. And if there's ever anything I could do, I hope you guys know how to get a hold of me. Ask for help or here. Bounce ideas off of whatever. I know I've rambled off ideas and I tried to public some of the things that are relayed to me. But I don't have anything prepared tonight. I was actually out in the woods literally hunting. So, I really wanted to say thank you guys. Thank you, Phil. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. Well, not shooting one.
All right. This month is Principal Appreciation Month. And we also recognize that it is conferences as well. And so if it's okay with the board, I'd like to go ahead and leave our principal acknowledgements till a little bit further down the agenda. That way, if they have the opportunity to come, we can recognize them. Otherwise, we'll recognize them and then send our appreciation to their individual names. With that being said, we have a really exciting opportunity to acknowledge an amazing Eatonville school district, Columbia Crest student, and now Eatonville High School student, who's really had some super amazing accomplishments. And so if it would be all right, we'd like to invite Joel Turner to come in and introduce his son, Bodie. Hey, we're moving through our agenda, so you take your time.
Okay.
This is center of attention today.
So this young man right here is Bodie Turner. He's my son, and he's been shooting a bow since he was 10.5 months old. He couldn't even stand up when he first drew his bow back. He was born with a bow in his crib. At 2 weeks old, he would shoot with me in a front pack, and I'd have to keep him from grabbing onto my bowstring. But so Bodie then progressed, and at 2.5 years old, he was shooting balloons out of the air with his little suction cup arrows in our kitchen. And then we got into competition archery, and archery's been my life ever since I was 7 years old. And so it was really cool to see my son pick this up. And so then we got into competition archery, and at 12 years old, he won the Vegas shoot. So at 12, there's a huge tournament. It's the biggest indoor archery tournament in the world. It's held in Vegas. And at 12 years old, Bodie took first in young adult, shooting against 15 to 17-year-olds. And in that tournament, he shoots this target. I'm going to hand some of these out so you can see what
I
this
can hold
actually
up if you.
Bodie, would you hold it to the camera so that people can see? Okay.
There, right? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna just start.
If you look at this target, this is the target that's shot at the Vegas shoot. So when you shoot in young adult, you shoot 60 arrows into this target, and hopefully trying to get them all into the 10 ring, which is this inner yellow ring. Then you see inside that is an X ring. So Bodie progressed. He won it at 12 years old. Then he won the Rushmore Rumble, which is another huge indoor tournament, at 14 years old in young adult championship. And in that tournament, he had to shoot 90 arrows inside this ring, this 10 ring, at a distance of 20 yards. So 90 arrows inside that 10 ring got him to this big shoot off with two other young men that were significantly older than he was. They were 17 years old, and he won that shoot off for the Rushmore Rumble at the age of 14. So then fast forward to 2022, February 4th, the big Vegas shoot started. At 15 years old, I was able to put Bodie in the professional division. So he shoots against all the professional adults. So February 5th just happens to be his birthday. So he started the Vegas tournament at 14 years old. In the middle of the Vegas tournament, he turned 15, so he got his pro card then. And then the next day, he won the Vegas tournament. So during that tournament, you have to shoot 90 arrows inside that 10 ring. And that gets you to what's called the big show. That's the big shoot off at the end. He was there with 22 other adult males that are much older than Bodie. So he is on the floor in front of thousands of people, and Bodie had his own cheering section. It was pretty cool. So in that shoot off, you shoot 3 arrows to start with, and they all have to be in the 10 ring. And that didn't actually eliminate anybody in the shoot off for 2022. However, then you have to shoot the X ring. So that little ring that's the size of a penny, if you miss that at a distance of 20 yards, you are out. So it went fewer and fewer and fewer people standing up against Bodie. And then finally, it came down to the last arrow. Bodie's opponent missed the X ring just by a few millimeters, and Bodie was able to center punch the X ring, and that won him $50,000 at the Vegas shoot as a 15-year-old. So pretty cool stuff. So then we went from the Vegas shoot, and then we go to outdoor, and where Bodie shoots a target similar to this. This is an 80-centimeter face. That's a 40-centimeter face. So he shoots this target at a distance of 50 meters. So he took some national championships in this. And there's another form of tournament and national field championships where you shoot 3 different types of targets, bullseye targets from a distance of 20 feet to 80 yards. And there's 2 different types of bullseye targets, and there's also animal targets that are paper shot from a distance of, what's the farthest is 59 yards? What's the closest? 10 yards. Yeah. So 10 yards to 59 yards in the animal round. And Bodie set a national record in that at 15 by 6 points. So he's got the national record by 6 points for the adult professional division. And then he went on to win the entire national championship for NFAA field. So he's doing pretty well in his archery endeavors. So I really appreciate you guys having us here today to acknowledge Bodie's accomplishments. Does anybody have any questions for Bodie?
What's your bow of choice?
Something white.
Okay.
I made your sponsor.
Huh?
Okay. There you go.
I mean,
Yeah, so he's sponsored by pretty much whatever, he has his choice of companies, and so we're dealing with contracts and all that stuff at this point. This is a target that Bodie just shot the other day. This is what's considered a 330X. So each one of these holes has been shot 10 times at a distance of 20 yards. So that's the type of group that you have to shoot to beat the Bodie's level. So.
Just having my favorite.
Tell them about.
Pennsylvania, that was nationals.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the Lancaster.
Oh,
Oh yeah, Lancaster. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot that. So at Lancaster, Pennsylvania, it's the second biggest indoor tournament in the world. Bodie went there this year, shot in the professional division, and he shot the third ever 660 in the history of the tournament, which has been going for 19 years. There's only been 2 other individuals that have done that. That means that he shot 60 arrows in the X ring in a row. So, and he went on to take third in that tournament, but it's pretty cool because they've actually framed his targets at the largest archery shop that there is in the world. So you can go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there you will see Bodie's targets framed on the wall next to 2 other people that have accomplished that feat. Sir, he's gonna stand up here and look pretty.
yeah. Much.
All right.
Well, I got one thing to say. I don't know if anybody has seen this or read it, but it'd be very, very easy for a teenager to get sidetracked in his archery. But this also says that he holds a 3.9 GPA and he was a coach for the Paralympic. So I congratulate you on that. That is awesome.
Thank you very much.
Wait,
Oh, you got more?
Yeah. So Bodie, you're a man of few words. And you're also very humble. But I'm not gonna ask you.
Probably how supportive they are is the main thing, and they're super good about letting me practice. Because sometimes I have homework and I practice over homework sometimes.
But not very often, clearly, because you still have a 3.95.
Yeah. But still, it's nice they're a little bit lenient on that, but I'll still always get my work done.
And can you tell us about your future plans?
My plan is just to keep this going, hopefully, make it into a full-time career after I'm done with high school.
It's like the Olympics.
Oh yeah, so then 2028, they should be bringing compounds into the Olympics, so I should be in that for Team USA. So as soon as I bring that in, I'm going to be traveling a lot more. But then as soon as I get out of high school, I'll be able to start doing the international tournaments. Right now, it's just more in the country stuff because I only have so much time. But as soon as I have more free time, I'll get to do even more tournaments.
I just want to honor Bodie and the Turner family for the great support. And really all of our worked with them throughout the years. That's really active parents. But something I really want to recognize, Pierce County Council actually had a resolution recognizing Bodie, and he has one of these. And they also gave one to us so that we could, and Sister Ben, would you come forward? They gave one to us that we can put it in the trophy case at the high school. And we would love to have a picture if you guys don't mind getting us a picture. So
Sure.
this is, thank you, Bodie, for the great things. And if we could get a picture of you guys together.
Here, take a target up there. Take a shot.
Oh, take the shot. Man. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Front center, Roddy.
Beautiful, thank you.
Good job. And we hope someday to have a sign on the way in Eatonville, of Bodie Turner, world champion archer. And the mayor is committed that we are going to do it. Thank you so much. He's a fine student athlete, and we have many in this district, which is very grateful. for those who have encouraged him throughout the years, academic life and in his private life. All right, I see a few more principals here now. So we will go ahead and move on to our principal recognition. I'm assuming, do you think Allison's gonna come out? We should wait a little longer.
Allison will not be.
Okay, then we will not continue to wait. So as a board, we would like to recognize principals this month. This is Principal Appreciation Month. And it has been said that being a principal is easy. It's just like riding a bike, except your bike is on fire and you're on fire and everything around you is on fire. And I think that the last couple of years have been very indicative of that for our principals. And we are so grateful and appreciative of the hard work, compassion, and passion that they have given our students and the way they've led our district. We could not accomplish the things that we need to do in this district without the servant leadership and really academic leadership. They are the primary teachers and educators in our district. So we will recognize each of them individually, but could you help me give them a collective? Like we have just the high school here, middle school, high school and middle school. Okay.
Yeah, middle school assistant principal.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Sturdivant, would you please come forward? Yeah, go around. Make her know. We appreciate you, but we make you walk all the way around. We really are so grateful, and we want to let you know that no matter how you slice it, to the board, we just couldn't be more grateful for everything you slice. Yes, there's a slice ton. That's my official thing. And thank you to Sheila, Mrs. Ridgway also, and we will make sure we present her with her respectfully shared appreciation. We're grateful for you. And Mr. Cash, vice principal in the middle school. And you know, if you work with middle schoolers, you certainly have a special heart and admire and will. So thank you, Mr. Cash, for your service. I'd also like to recognize, for the record, Ms. Sheila Ridgway, Vice Principal of Eatonville High School, Timothy Leopold, Principal at Eatonville Middle School, Allison Burslong, Principal at Columbia Crest Easton Academy, Nicholas Berklich, Principal at Eatonville Elementary, and Lynn Ames, Principal at Werkhauser Elementary. And they are all outstanding individuals to whom we are very grateful. So thank you. All right. Moving on in the agenda, we're gonna get a lot of good work done here. Reports and presentations.
Okay, so I don't have too much to report this month, being it was the first month. I will note that for our encumbrances will probably be increasing this year as we plan and going forward for the future months here. So those will increase a little bit and more of that budget will be encumbered. Forecast 5 is working on our model for this year. So I expect to meet with them in the next week so we can build that model. But I did speak with them and they said the next 3 or 4 months we'll really look at to see where we go for the next part of the year. So it's just so hard to gauge by the first month. So we will look forward to seeing that over the next few months. And enrollment is pretty much the same. We've lost a couple kiddos, but nothing unusual. So just a little fluctuations in and out of the buildings at each of the buildings. So other than that, there's not been a lot of change in enrollment.
Great, thank you very much. And Mr. Travis Rush, the update.
I'll be approved as well.
Well, we know
I know.
what to expect. And
I know.
Grateful for this last opportunity.
Yes.
For your time and space.
This will work. There we go. Where is it? It's a real bummer if the technology didn't work for the tech guy.
I know, I was waiting.
So, all right, so you should have a paper copy. By the way, I'm Travis Rush. For those of you I have not met, I've met most of you, I think, so far. Thank you. This is just an update on what is going on with the technology, education, and information for the district itself right now to hold our department accountable and to let you know what's happening around the district. So hardware and infrastructure, our teacher devices have at least 2 more years on their lease. So we're looking at already right now what devices our teachers would be rotating to. The goal is to get a few devices in, rotate them between staff, give feedback, and then go forward with that and look at whether or not a lease or a purchase is the best option, just like normal, depending on price, depending on numbers, and also service support for those. So that's how we usually do that. Xerox is our print partner, is approaching the end of its lease. It's been interesting with them. I don't want to be negative right now, but we are looking at lots of options around different areas, closer support, more our size. It's definitely been frustrating. They're coming from a long ways to fix us, so that's coming up. We've begun process with a couple other companies already. Servers that were hosted by the ESD that saved us about $60,000. We had to update all of our servers and hardware, and for our size district, Tyler back there and the rest of the IT department got on board to the ESD, and I approved having them host us and farm out, which actually helps us for security purposes as well, because we're not housed in house here, opening ourselves up. So yes.
Are we partnering with ESD 113?
113. Yeah, 113 at this time. So we're trying to go as much as we can that direction to keep us from cyber attacks and other realms. It's also cheaper in that realm. We're pretty confident that it was going well. Tyler had them practice it for the last 3 months of last year, and none of our teachers even noticed. So obviously there wasn't a lot of hiccups. Like everything else in technology, you never know what you're going to unearth till you unearth it. So that was a really large savings for us. We're migrating more of our storage to cloud-based and offsite, which is again helps us with data storage cost. And again, going back to cybersecurity, districts, remember last year, were being held a ransom. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe none of them were Skyward districts, which is a huge positive for us because we are a Skyward district. But we had an opportunity to up our insurance base and still cannot do it yet for some variety of reasons of tools we don't possess, nor we had to find a way to possess them with contracts. We can get into that later. It would have given us a higher insurance ceiling, but it really wouldn't have impacted whether or not we were more vulnerable or not. So it wasn't worth the added costs out for the insurance for no more protection as far as vulnerability. So to me, it was not a very good investment of money at that point. So again, we're consistent. We rotate student devices every year. Last year, you guys approved 400, another 400 this year that rotates a group out and a group back in. Our oldest ones are on their last legs. We have put them down to our lower grade levels because the devices don't go home as often. So they're all touchscreen now still for the little guys, but they don't go home back and forth as often, and they do not have to run the state test in 3rd grade because they're not capable of it. So we kept them down at that level, and we'll phase those out at the end of this year. Unfortunately, Chromebooks, Google stops updating after a certain number of years on them. They're just considered a disposable device. It's also what brings the price of them down, though. It makes them effective for schools. But you have that as a cost, waste. However, Surface or something or a tablet from Apple would be outdated by 5 years anyway. By the time you could update it anyway, you wouldn't want to. So. We updated Secretary's desktop phones for power outage. This is still not done, and this is a really point of contention right now. The phone system is driving all of us nuts. They converted it to digital, which is great, except for when you're at a building subbing for a principal and the power goes out and parents are trying to call and pick up their kid. The phone stopped working, and they installed a bat phone in everyone's library, or library, pardon me, my libraries are on my mind. in everybody's office. It's a red phone, but it's not even at the secretary's desk. So we have this emergency phone, which is outstanding for lockdowns, but terrible for day-to-day use when our power goes out, which happened today. So we had our phone service, people install a phone and move it to the front desk. It's still not where I want it to be. They basically, what needs to work is when the power goes off, an analog phone on a desk needs to be picked up and work just fine. To analog, if we can't make that work, then I want to switch all of the offices back to analog. I do. That'd be my suggestion, because it's just an interruption of service. It is chaos when power goes out. The majority of reasons why power goes out is nothing to do with dramatic issues. It's power outages, and parents cannot get hold of anybody in the office because the phones don't work and your internet doesn't work. And when there's a way to plug in a phone, that seems really.
Is analog still an option? I know.
What's that?
Is analog still an option?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Because I know that a lot of people have been told that they can no longer have analog.
No, we can still do analog for our schools. We have, again, a hotline, an emergency line anyway. And there's a method right now where they can, on the bottom of their phone is a code they can punch in and it'll turn their desk phone to an analog phone. But we need training for our secretaries on that. And I want it more explicit than it needs to be still available. Tyler's smiling back there because we're going round and round with the phone people. But I just wanted to put this on there that it is happening. And we are working on it and getting it all sorted out because I'm sure up the chain people, the phones have just been in there. So mobility for teachers casting. My main goal before I leave is getting teachers' ability to move around the classroom without being saddled to a desk and a device. It is not my role to evaluate their teaching practice. It's my job to give them the tools and get out of the way. And I'd really like to see teachers being able to take a tablet or the computer, work with a group of 5 kids or 10 kids in small groups and being able to cast to their screen or to another student's computer around the room. This year we purchased a program called Go Guardian with the savings we did up here, which is a filter system in the room itself where we filter at a district level, and in the classroom a teacher can push out 5 websites and they can only use those 5 websites. They can't go to anything else. It completely locks down the computer, or they can keep it wide open. So as a parent too, if there's issues in a classroom where your student's going on to things they're not supposed to, the teacher now has control of that. And it's an option in their tool bag. It's my job to give them a tool and then step out of the way, see if they can use it. They can also cast to each other's computers. So a teacher could be working with a group of 5 and say, you 5, I want you to do this. And they can send them a particular item over their device if they'd like. So it was a $10,000 purchase for all 5 buildings. I purposely wanted to save money elsewhere to be able to purchase it because, again, district filters at X level, and you as a teacher, if you're a brand new teacher or a veteran teacher and you want your students wide open or really locked down, especially little guys, and they get all excited about pushing on YouTube, high schoolers never, it gives you a lot of options then as a teacher, and it can also track you can see screens if you want. It can send parents reports. It's a fantastic program. If you guys ever want a preview of it, I'll gladly send it to you.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
In the buildings, is there going to be like policies for classrooms? Is there going to be a standard in the building? So if parents have students in different classrooms in one building, they know what the expectation is.
That would be, to me, a building principal expectation,
Is that-
potentially or not. That would not be my.
conversation that has-
This is brand new this year. I started the PD earlier this year. I personally, philosophically, do not believe that would be necessary. But that could be a different conversation. Elementary, again, different levels, different grade bands might have different. Secondary, it would really depend. I could see it a lot more appropriately for a single student rather than disciplining or having an effect on all students. If we have a single student that has issues, we can literally call it creating a scene. You can create a scene for one individual student and their computer can only do X all day. So you wouldn't have to have a uniform across
So
every
more
class.
just, I'm sorry, not just about restricting students, but that every classroom is expected to use it.
That would be an admin.
That conversation.
I have not had that conversation, and that's not in my wheelhouse to I'll go back to what I originally first said. That's not in my wheelhouse to impose. My wheelhouse is to get the tool and get out of the way. If Mrs. Keeley or the teaching and learning or the admin would like that, that's on them, and I would provide that service and do the PD for it. So that's the best answer I can give you on that. So new sound system was installed at CCA per I think it was from the levy funds. Don't quote me on that, but we installed a brand new sound system at CCA. We would like to do it as the other ones are failing, coming up at the other buildings, or at least go through and do a really clean out, see exactly what they need. It's not the speakers and the wiring, it's just the receiver, which is a great cost saving. We found out, we originally thought it was everything, but they're at their end of their life. This is going to be larger than people think. VHS and DVD players are at the end of life. I know that sounds funny when I say that out loud. It's not. There's lots of clips from different sources that teachers use. They're not all on YouTube. I know a lot of high school teachers that still have VHS tapes. It's pretty funny to me, but I laugh because it's just cute. So I have a way, I'm sending out a form for them to send me the clips they use, and one of the goals is to get them digitized. We also can send them out to a different service if we would like, but I'd like to try to do as many in-house as we can. And that ties back to Mrs. Keeley's overall plans, though, with curriculum, like what are we actually using? How's that get control over that and look at that? And it's a way for us to survey that. But I know like Springboard, for example, requires video clips in their curriculum. So we want to make sure that we have access to those. And as the DVD players die, we need to make sure we can still access those video clips. So
They may be licensed, right? So
a lot of them are, but a lot of the ones from Springboard, they use movies that are usually a small clip that they are out of that copyright. And so they're posted and you can use them anyway. And people have already put them out on YouTube. So what I'd like to do personally is collate them so teachers don't have to spend their time to go find them. We can just access them really quick. And then, for example, history, I taught history. There are some great resources from PBS on VHS, and just because it's VHS doesn't mean it's not good material. And it's really outdated, and you can still use the source. I'd like to digitize it because it's still really good information. So I'll go quick. This is our future. We just want to maintain continuous improved security. That's huge. Phone, that's a big one to keep improving. Speed of access. We are looking to improve community support for services. I still would like to find access for everybody in the community. I've been reaching out to some different vendors to figure out ways to try to even, it's a long story, I'll talk to you later about that, but I'd like to get access. When we did a study pre-COVID, we found out the issue wasn't this is gonna be a really bad sense, wasn't no internet. It wasn't lack of internet, it was lack of quality internet. And so that's a larger factor we have than actually no internet at all. We want to bring down some integrated systems going with communities so we can get some partnerships going and bring down costs. District digital video library, update the entire sound systems. And then we are bringing the library people, our support role under the tech department to also help with intake of, they're not officially, their title is tech library currently right now, but they are entry-level system for taking in Chromebooks, and we are working on getting them Google certified hopefully this year. So that's part of that training as well. So I have the links to this. You have Google Tools for Education still in use. I sent you the Clever apps. We'll send this out digitally too, so you can click on the links. Clever, if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's a single sign portal for kids. It literally is just a portal that has tabs on it that students can, then it has all of their work underneath Clever. Secondary ed uses it very rarely. Elementary ed uses it a lot. It's a single sign-in service and it helps protect them. We have a technology education curriculum map. We're working on updating. We have a digital student accountability matrix, meaning I did create and work with admin 3 years ago on an entire process for students if they misbehave with the devices and on the internet and what that looks like and what the options are. So they have an entire matrix of how they can direct kids and what they can put them into for behavior protocols or systems with internet and tools. So we're still working on differentiation with teachers, adaptive tools for students, better one-to-one, and PD available for staff throughout the year. So it's kind of where we're at and where we're going. And we're still following too. Before he exited, Drew and Byron Adams produced a 5-year tech plan, which we are still honoring and following. It was a quality plan. You guys have that copy, and then until that copy changes, we're not going to be deviating from that. That's not fair and not right. So if that ever happens, then shame on us. But, additions this year, Go Guardian. Big thing for me is relaunching of digital citizenship. It's huge. We need to play nice online from elementary on up. We are really kicking it in elementary hard, so because by the time it's high school and middle school, it's too late. Integration of STEM technology spaces into the libraries, that was going strong before COVID. Libraries right now are in mothballs. You can see we have a lot of work to do here. We're really trying to get going libraries again. I have an initiative this year of a book in every hand, where we started Battle of the Books. There's a lots of things I really want to do with libraries that are fledgling right now. Robust access for students using Google Classroom and Google Tools. I'm continuing to build the LMS, which is our learning management system, meaning taking curriculum as Mrs. Keeley expands, and we look at like the social studies this year. The goal is we compile this into locations when we hire new teachers. We can say, here is your LMS or your materials. And if we can do that digitally, it can be reviewed at any point. And then this is huge for you guys. This is, as I cannot stress this enough. We purchased the Follett data management, asset management system. Every item that comes in the district now can be cataloged by department, purchase, type of purchase, levy, bond, whatever, and then be put on a scale when it has to be out, when it has to be updated or changed out. Okay. We don't have any protocols in place yet for what this is going to look like. We have the system. We put our new Chromebooks we ordered in. IT is under obligation now. Every time we order anything in, we automatically put brand new technology in. We are working on a system, and I've been working with Krista and talking about this, about even sports uniforms. Everything has to go through a central booking and then dispersed. That is a huge undertaking coming up. So this is a massive job. And it all goes back to being audited and what it looks like, proving where our money goes. So I toured Bethel's, has an entire depository where, again, most of this stuff will go, and it's when teachers need it, they request it, it gets sent to them, and it gets allocated to that resource and building. And then as that resource ages out, it can be weeded and tracked. So we can have full records of where everything goes. So it's a big one. Questions?
That last resource bullet that you were talking about, do you see that being professional development for all coaches, for all teachers? Like,
For me, long term, what it is, it's baby steps, and it's going to be muddy to start with. We first have, yes, long term, they would be on the simple level of checking in and out, and it would not be a very complicated process. I went again and watched this at Puyallup. The high school basketball coach physically checked out jerseys to his students. Get the box, open them up. They have literally, you can't barcode a jersey. They have a binder with barcodes in it. It says like number 11 and it has a barcode. They put the kid's name in, scan the barcode out of the book, kid goes there. Now it's also in the system. If that student does not return the jersey, it automatically goes into their account as a fine. Now we know a lot from the modern laws, it's very difficult to collect fines. The state is less concerned, obviously, about, we have to have allocation of where it went. The word fine or lost still means that it's accounted for. It's the oddest thing about accounting is if we have a fine allocated to somebody, even if we haven't collected it, the state, at least library-wise, from what I understand, is it's still allocated. It's known as that we didn't give it away. We didn't lose it. It's not missing. So that's a huge deal right now. So buses, we have to catalog our buses, weed eaters, all the maintenance. We have to go through all the maintenance. So that's a huge undertaking coming up. So
I would imagine each of our directors, facility management, they will all have specific training on how to do
the goal will be to start with, again, starting with IT, starting with new items coming in, then looking at the system of where do items get ordered to and how do they get out from there, and then working out backwards. I don't foresee a day where we'll be able to really go backwards and catalog many things from the past until we get really efficient at what comes in now. And I've worked with a lot of people in the state that would understand that process. As long as you have a process and you're able to explain where you're going and what you're doing, they're pretty helpful with that. So, okay. And the other information I included on there, I included mostly for support for teaching and learning. I'm sorry, it's spelling and stuff. It was my notes about my job, the 3 jobs I am leaving. So I resigned. If you guys didn't catch, I took a job for the state of Washington. I will be the new tech ed lead for the state of Washington, bringing technology education to every corner of Washington. My job is to organize all 9 ESDs. So I thank you, because I wouldn't have ever had that opportunity if it wasn't for here. I'm not leaving. I filled out my volunteer paperwork.
Yes. We'll have your phone number.
Yeah, no, and Vanessa, my new boss, was very gracious to Sally about crossing over and helping out as much as I can. I get to work from home, which scares the bejesus out of me.
Wow.
But I did seriously fill out my volunteer paperwork. I want to come in and shelf books and do things and have no responsibility whatsoever. I'm very nervous and sad about leaving, but I also always believe in leaving an open door. I would love to come back. This is still my home. I love it. And if it wasn't for everything we've achieved in the last 7, 8 years, and the opportunities I was given, I wouldn't be able to be going to do what I'm doing. And that whole list right there, I put in there again to advocate for Sally about what needs to be replaced at some point, however that's divided up or whatever the role is. It's 3 specific jobs, and I broke it down by month. And mostly that's for Tyler and for everybody else to hopefully stay. I don't like leaving mid-year like this. This is not good for anybody. It's just the way the state moves. They move slow, and I applied for the job 5 months ago and thought that it was dead, and they called me up a month later. So that's for you. And again, sorry about spelling or anything else. I normally, even though I can't spell, I try to be better for the board. That's just my notes, but I thought you guys would like to see also what is coming up, and it gives you a good direction of what is needed. So, and I also thought it'd be professional to give you guys what is going on. So, all right.
Certainly appreciate
Oh, yeah.
as a teacher,
Oh, thank you.
helping us raise our kids,
Yeah,
as administrator, the libraries, you've been a great mentor and advocate for students.
It's been easy to be here. We have wonderful kids, and I will tell you guys as a board too and community, until you go out and look around, I really hope people understand where we're at and where we came from 14 years ago, not just in tech, but in just tech is a tool. I don't even like technology. I believe it is a tool to level the playing field between the have and the have-nots and give people opportunities who don't necessarily work within 4 walls. Is taking the kid that wants to work with their hands and they want to get out of school early. Taking the kid that wants to go to school early and go to engineering. I don't care. It's a level playing field at some point. And you should see where we're at versus other places. And that's a hats off to you guys and to the community for supporting. And I hope we continue. I know that there's a big push right now for back to basics, which I completely support. I think we have a huge need in math and reading, huge. But that can be done in a 21st century way. It cannot be done again with a textbook and weighing down your backpack. Textbooks are online. Books are very important, but so is remote learning, the ability to do it anywhere. I was just watching Mr. Crush's his class here. Be done anywhere. So, anything else? All right, guys. Cool. I'm going to volunteer. I will come and speak at board meetings. Thank you. Yep. Whoa, you don't even have to be connected for it to present. Whoa.
Technology.
She's gonna. All right, so Sally, would you be able to, we're going on to new business, would you be able to address this on 10A?
Yes. Yeah, that one I just worked. There you are. Right, I'm recommending to the board that we look at a motion regarding, when schools canceled for inclement weather. We have a motion to have school being prepared. Last year we doing, and there are many reasons for that. And some information that I provided is that districts in attendance of the WASDA, that they were all doing makeup days in person. Also, when you look at the WAC too, right? We provide to kids.
And if you look at data, it's towards now, across the nation.
Out in reading and brought down to the low levels of 19 feet in the 1990s due to the impact of So having our kids in class is really important so that they can get what they need. And it also serves the equity issues around our students' needs, whether they have internet access, whether or not they want IEP, they might need different supports, they can't learn way. So those are all reasons for moving to having students here who have to make up schools.
Yeah, just because of our new recorded.
Louder is good.
We all need to be on our
Yes, please.
So I am looking for a motion for approval of in-person instruction for snow days, and then we can address any questions. that we might have. Motion,
Motion.
okay,
Second.
right? Any questions, discussion?
So just for clarification, like what we were doing last year was remote makeup days. So if we had a canceled day, we do it via virtual online. What we're saying is we are going to basically tack these on into the school year is the tentative plan if we have canceled days.
This year, that would be the tentative plan. In the past,
We had built in.
we had built-in days. This year's calendar is very unique and has a lot of struggles, but, so let's pray for good weather. There's no power outages. Any other,
I'd like to.
any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
got a question. So that being said, what is the last day of school at the moment? With no deal.
Do you have your calendar with you?
June 23rd.
Okay, so if we have, let's just say, 5 really bad days, that means we're gonna go to 28th of June or even farther into it. So we potentially, depending on the weather, could be going to school in July with the adding on to the end of the school year. With this, if I'm
If there's a lot of snow days,
Correct, yes.
Oh.
That's not anything to be cut.
Could that potentially like push forward graduation? Like,
I will
So
let-
in talking to Amy Spearman, we could actually apply for an emergency waiver for seniors outside the.
And there have been extreme circumstances in the past where all the school districts have been impacted equally and housing have applied for emergency waivers and received them. So in extenuating circumstances, OSPI and the State Board of Education can give us one. Any other questions or concerns?
So Columbia Crest, they're not necessarily around us per se, and they get more snow usually because they're an expert in out that way. So with them, are we going to bring them into everybody, or are we going to give them specific days if they can't get to school?
So I think the unique thing, and I'm gonna let anybody else add to this, but the unique thing about Columbia Crest is those Columbia Crest students become Eatonville High School students. So it impacts our district all the way up. It impacts middle school and impacts the high school as well. So it becomes an equity issue as whether or not, so it's not like we can just confine it to one school if the roads are bad or if it's not safe for students to drive. Stuart or Sally?
you've noticed there's been times where roads aren't so bad here and school's been canceled. That's because we're looking at Columbia Crest a lot of times.
Okay.
So they're not getting closed to the rest of the district.
Because it's our whole district, we've got students control in all directions. Is there anything I missed on that? That I didn't say? And Clay is not here to add to that. That's- Any other questions? All right, then I would call for a vote. All in favor of passing resolution 732? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. All right, consider approval of bus purchase and bus surplus of vehicles, and Clay is not here to address this. So, we do have his paperwork that he submitted, and he did give us a report last meeting. Krista, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think I think he's done a really thorough job at researching what his options are and what our options are. And I mean, he has some experience with this, so I do have confidence in the selections he's made and the options that he's added on.
Okay. So with that, I would consider a motion for the approval of the purchase of 3 buses as well as surplusing of 2 buses. Sorry,
2 buses.
1 vehicle. Consider motion.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion?
I reviewed this with the last surplus we did and just kind of looked at it. It appears in line with prior surplus.
All right, all in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bought ourselves some new buses. What's in my agenda? Any papers? That's my digital. It's good. Okay, got it here. We're going to consider purchase of teacher devices, which we had addressed at a previous meeting. Tyler?
Yes.
Or welcome.
Yeah,
Do you want to
sorry.
tell us about this?
Yeah, I was able to fix the quotes. Sorry about that. I fat fingered number 2. But we were able to get competitive pricing from 3 vendors. SHI, they came in at the lowest. So approved. We'd like to get those devices in as soon as possible. Got new classrooms coming in, new staff coming in, and so those devices are a hot commodity right now.
So I would consider a motion to approve the purchase.
So moved.
Seconded, all in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, any discussion? Yeah, discussion.
Is there a difference in arrival on some of these now that we've already delayed you like a few weeks?
No, there's not.
Okay.
SHI is they're kind of a preferred vendor. They're usually very quick to get out. I've never had to wait longer than a week. So yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we were going lowest one and it delays us weeks.
Yeah, no, everybody usually if we put the order in on a Monday, it's usually there by the end of the week.
Fantastic. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carry to purchase devices for our staff. Consider approval of ESD cap. Oh, wait. Consider approval of purchase of district-wide radios. Are you radios, Tyler? No.
I can speak to
Okay.
that. So as we look at our capital projects fund and what we have asked the community to approve in our levy dollars that we're collecting, one of those things was safety and security. And this is a part of addressing, that is one of the first steps in addressing safety and security, is so that staff can communicate between each other quickly. In the event that they have children that are running away or just situations arise, that allows them to communicate quickly with each other from the front of the building to the back of the building at the playground. And just to add that extra, layer of safety for our students. So we've got several buildings that are in need of radios to enhance their security and safety. And that would be the high school, the middle school, EES, Weyerhaeuser, one for the district office. Columbia Crest has radios, but they are also needing some for their special ed classroom. So and there are 3 quotes we got. We are asking that you approve the PSI purchase, because we have an established relationship with them. We already have radios that we bought from them. They service them. They're prompt to respond to issues. They'll program them for us rather than sending them as a set pre-programs. They'll program them by the 1 or by 10. So they provide us with a lot more flexibility than the other vendors do, and they're a lot faster to respond, and we have a proven track record with them. So we would like to go with PSI for that purchase if it's approved.
And we have the lowest bid just for public record, right?
I don't, they're all within, they're all within,
The lowest by
They're
1,000.
still below the town.
yeah.
Okay, all right, so, I would consider a motion to approve the purchase of district-wide radios.
Motion.
And second discussion?
All right, so actually do the radios. Do we know what the current radios are that we have? Do we know what the frequencies are that they run on, the same ones as the PSIs?
So I'm not very knowledgeable as far as frequency.
Is there max
Um,
ons?
And we've had the building principals in on this, to help us with this as a collective decision. Clay has some experience with radios. I think Jay has some experience with radios, so that's been one of those points of.
Yeah, so one of the concerns is the first bid is for a VHF radio, which is, you know, the 100 to 200 megahertz bands. And the second two quotes are UHF radios, which would not talk to each other. So the second two quotes and the first one would not be able to be on the same frequency. So my concern is just making sure that we're using the same ones that we already have so that we don't get a whole new set that is completely making our old ones obsolete. So we're actually adding to our capability instead of making two sets of radios that don't talk to each other.
So I have a very limited knowledge in this, but my understanding is that each building will be able to communicate within each other, within their building, not necessarily to the other building, but that PSI will work with us to make sure that all of our existing radios still function, so we're not having to completely replace an entire stock of radios that we already own. Because we still have a lot of functioning radios that are perfectly good.
So I guess this is gonna be reached out there in Robert's rules. I propose an amended motion that we approve the PSD quote as long as the frequencies are compatible with our current radios. So if you're okay with that.
Friendly amendment.
Yeah, I.
Okay. Okay, all right, I got a second. Okay. All right. That worked, all right. Then all in favor of the amended, friendly amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carries. All right, the ESD capital facilities plan, and I don't see Brandon here, but I'm assuming Krista, you are going to be speaking to us on that?
So this is something, the purpose for putting this forward to you right now today is so that we can continue to collect our impact fee through rural Pierce County. So we're required to submit to them an updated plan every year. Now, nothing in this plan has changed from the last couple of years that has been presented. The only thing that has changed is Doug Nichols, so he goes through and updates it for revised enrollment projections provided by OSPI. Some minor things just to update the data, board names, such, but Doug is a consultant who works with several districts around the state in coming up with these capital facilities plans. You know, they have a lot of calculations in them that I couldn't begin to, or Brandon maybe couldn't. It would take him a while to put something like this together. So we're really relying on Nichols Consulting to take us through this process, to enable us to get those impact fees to support future growth in our buildings.
And just to be clear, these are impact fees on new construction in Greater Pierce County, but not within the city limits of Eatonville.
Yes, that is correct.
And Lewis County, do they have impact?
This is
Like
just for
Pierce
Pierce
County.
County.
Right. I would entertain a motion to consider approval of the SD capital facilities plan for 2027.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Thank you for this great work. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We are now going to move on to superintendent comments. And Kelly, you are here. Okay. You have anything to share?
What was your last statement?
Do you have anything to share?
Yes, I
Any
do.
comments
Sorry.
to share?
Yes. And I'll try to speak louder. I
you
am
so much.
stepping in for Superintendent Neal with comments about things going on around the district, starting off with Eatonville High School. Our admin staff have been working on setting professional growth goals with their teachers. And they're seeing lots of strengths in student learning as well. So I am reading his notes, just so you know that, but recognizing that their individual learning needs and working on strategies to meet them with the students they're serving. And they're excited to be working and diving into that work as now they've gotten to the first quarter of grading period, midterm just ended. And students' grades were reflecting success and achievement. Amy's staff are targeting students who are failing in multiple classes and offering additional supports for them. And then next item at the high school is homecoming week participation. Went really well. Students enjoyed dress-up days and lunchtime activities. The game was well attended by the community and the alumni. And after the game, the homecoming dance was the best high school admin had ever seen and the chaperones. They really commend student behavior there. Students were dancing appropriately. Kids were engaged in playing board games, enjoying snacks, and being a great cruiser. The leadership class and ASB and community committee did a great job with this event as well. Noting upcoming events, 10/27, Eatonville High School has a football game and senior night at 7 o'clock, and at 11/8, there's a 7:30 EHS band concert coming up, and 11:10 Veterans Day assembly. At Eatonville Middle School, they're in the middle of a very successful conference week, and the attendance at EMS arena style conferences has been excellent this year. Mr. Cash is preparing his second attendance recognition breakfast with pancakes. Still here to me, hiding over there. Pancake breakfast in the EMS Commons. They also wanted to recognize the EMS leadership. Students are planning with administration a quarterly recognition assembly that will include athletics, attendance, and academic celebration. At Columbia Crest Academy, they held their first monthly award assembly for the school year and recognized 10 Rainiers of the month and 10 Quality Work Award winners. They also wanted to note that the Grits Farm donated 100 pumpkins for their students in preparation of their pumpkin decorating contest, which will take place on the 28th. And then we are welcoming back parent volunteers, and they have been a tremendous support of the school and appreciate them coming back to be in our classrooms and help students. Columbia Crest also held their first PTO meeting since COVID. One of the key highlights from the meeting is that they raised over $10,000 during the 10-day fundraiser challenge. The funds are going to go for the playground equipment and assemblies, and half the money goes to Feed America. And then their middle school science program has requested donations of microscopes, and they actually received 4 microscopes, and they're thankful to their generous donors. Bill L. Take your water. Eatonville L. wanted to recognize Ms. Ricketts' art class and the great work that's been done by students in the class. I'm not sure about the pictures, but
We do have
share.
some pictures to be able to share with board. They'll be coming in the newsletter this week.
And then they're having their Scholastic Book Fair during conference week, Bill Library. And I wanted to note their teachers and parents have been working really hard at getting math and interventions running. And they're working to give students targeted supports. Weyerhaeuser. Weyerhaeuser Elementary, last Friday was their PTA Halloween carnival. Classroom doors were decorated so students could trick or treat at them through the hallways. The evening was a big hit. They were really excited. Kids were excited to be there. Families were excited. And then the next bullet, student leadership elections were held last week as well, and a food drive for Eatonville Family Agency is underway at Weyerhaeuser Elementary. A couple of quick updates at some of the district level. Our teachers have been attending a lot of math training. We had the elementary level math training in middle and high school over the last couple of months. And we finished our second session of Eureka training, which was well attended by teachers. I think we had 24 in attendance. I'd like to just share a quote from one of our teachers. We got a lot of positive feedback about the Eureka training. One of our teachers, Angie, said she would like to say thank you for the math trainings we've offered so far. Even though she's been using Eureka for the last few years, she said she was learning so much about how to make it the most useful in her classroom with the tools being offered. And she was thankful for the flow of the class. She says there have been so many trainings that have been painful to sit through. However, this one is flying by. I had to look at my phone multiple times on Thursday because I couldn't believe how quickly the time was passing. I look forward to more training. We will be adding a journeys training too, as we added a lot of new teachers here. That will be a virtual training coming up. I've been working with principals on growth goals as we set the focus for this year, the work they're going to be doing with staff around student achievement. Just a quick announcement, our Native American program currently has 55 students enrolled. Our high cap program has 35 enrolled, and we're assessing another 3 students to join that group. And then last but not least, of course, we will have big shoes to fill with Travis Rush leaving. I wish him all the best, and just want to know that we're going to miss him. And again, thank you also to our principals and their leadership role in our buildings every day.
Sally, for pitching in for us. We really appreciate it. All right, our student representatives, this is your moment to share with us your perspectives and what's been going on in the district.
Well, like, I don't know.
Sally,
Like what Ms. Skeely said, homecoming went great for at least the high school. There was, I wasn't here for actually really the whole week other than Friday, but from what I've heard from other students around, and not only my friend group, but people that we don't see very often, they said they very much enjoyed it because that's a big part of the leadership in ASB. A big goal for me this year coming into ASB was trying to get the students more involved and get back to kind of the normal after the COVID stuff. So that went great. We can always do better. I know that. Hopefully, I will still be a big part of this next year also. So I know what works now and what I can contribute next year. Homecoming game itself, we have always quite a lot of fans coming, which is great, but I seemed like as a player, there was a lot more. Concessions went great. It's always a good thing for our clubs and our classes get their money so we can actually do stuff. And then that's pretty much all I can say as of right now. Walking in the hallways, I'd have to say, especially in that hall, with the addition of Coach Reed or security guard, Mr. Reed, he's really brightened up everybody's spirits. Just being there, he's not the security guard, he's kind of like one of the students there. He tries bringing us up a little bit when he sees that we're not having a good day. And he's not just in his office the whole time. So that's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
I would say I was a freshman when COVID happened. So that was like the first normal year, but it got cut short sadly. But this year's been like kind of the year of things coming back to normal, which is my senior year, which is crazy. But yeah, I would say this was homecoming dance. Like freshman year was last time that happened. So sophomore and junior year, I don't even think we had it. No, yeah, not at all. So first time we've had that, I'd say like in sports, not having masks this year has been, so I'm so thankful for that. Just playing with them is something that, I mean, our generation's had to go through that no one else really has in the past, and it's definitely a challenge, but even like in school, being able to see people's faces, it's crazy, you know, like not seeing people's faces or like their smiles or anything for like a few years. I just feel like mentally people are doing better. Thankful for that. It was definitely took tolls on people in many different ways. Teachers, students, just being at home, not getting to see people. So I'm thankful for that. How that's changed for everyone. Yeah. I do running starts, so I'm not here as often as a lot of kids are. I come here for one period, but I can already notice that I finished it. So
All right, board comments.
I got a couple comments I want to say. Both of our student reps also said that how good it is, and they expressed how good it is to see each other's faces. And I want to thank you for the community coming out, supporting us, supporting the kids. And that would be my only thing was, Travis said it, I know my wife has done it. Let's get into these students' lives. Let's be parent volunteers. Let's get into these classrooms and show them by example that we can overcome the last 3 years of what has been hard for all of us. You know, we need to let them know that hard things are going to happen and we can overcome it. And I think they're doing a great job showing us that they have a good outlook, so we can too. So number one, thank you again for your support. Rick, thank you. I enjoy it when you come in, so thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again to the student reps. It's great to hear we have some sense of normalcy coming back into the schools, because it's been not just unprecedented, but unfortunate that you've had to go through what you've gone through the last few years. My own daughter graduated that first year, and it was a lost experience for the entire family. Everybody's had to endure hardships, but I applaud you for grinding through and being successful and making the best of a bad situation. So I also wanted to say thank you to the principals. Same thing, it's been ridiculous the last few years, and recognize the effort and the sacrifice that goes into it. So it's never hard, you're always pinned, and in today's society, everybody's upset. So doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, everybody's upset. So we know it's difficult, we feel it as well. Then last, I just want to say that I'm a little disappointed to not see our superintendent here tonight. Was not anticipating the absence, but yeah, just a little bit disappointed.
Sure. I had said it before that I thought that in the last meeting you did amazing. You asked questions again this meeting. You guys have just, I just love how there's two students who just are able to ask questions. So thank you for that bravery, because not every student wants to come up and ask random questions for, you know, things that even I'm thinking. So thank you for that vote.
Appreciate that. Hard questions. I wanted to say thank you to our community and to the board for our community conversations. I felt like we had a great turnout, and it was a good first step back to doing the things that we need to do. And like Dylan said, we always get better, and we recognize things that we can continue to do. We've taken copious notes which we will be addressing as a board and putting those towards our improvement plans as a board and as a district. They've been shared with principals, and they will also be taken to their buildings. So we thank you for your input. And Mr. Cash, I would love to help with your breakfast. Let me know.
You know, crusties and flipping.
That's right, I can do that. I can flip pancakes. And the Grits Farm Pumpkin Harvest, holy moly, those kids, they raised a lot of pumpkins and a lot of money, and they were very generous with the pumpkins. So I just want to recognize them and their great work. They have a bright future and their pumpkin harvesting apparently, and their graciousness of donating to the students throughout the district. I think is just fantastic. All right, we've missed Paulette here in person, but she's been with us. And so Paulette, did you have anything you wanted to add? Is she still on? Okay.
Oh, there I am. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to the administrators and for all of your hard work and your flexibility and just your desire to help kids be the best people that they can be. And just I'm grateful for you and for what you do for our schools. And other than that, I echo what everybody else on the board has said.
Thank you, Paulette, and thank you, Sally, for stepping in. Well, I appreciate it very much. All right, we were going to adjourn this portion of our meeting, and we're going to go into an executive session to discuss contracts and evaluation of personnel. It will probably take about 45 minutes, and there will be no action taken. Thank you all for coming.